A thin drizzle clung to the city streets that night, turning the lamps into halos of gold against the dark. Mark Weston stood by his black SUV, coat collar up against the wind, scanning the parking lot outside the community shelter. He hadn't meant to stop. His day had already stretched far beyond business hours. But something about the woman sitting alone on the bench, shoulders drawn tight under a faded hoodie, clutching a worn leather bag, pulled him in before he could reason himself out of it. Her eyes, shadowed yet alert, flicked toward him as if measuring whether he was safe. He hesitated, fingers tightening on his car keys. He had promised himself after the divorce that his life would be predictable, safe for his 9-year-old daughter, Emily. No more impulsive rescues. Yet, here he was, pausing in the rain for a stranger who looked like she was barely holding herself together. "You can't stay out here all night," Mark said gently, stepping closer. "There's a storm coming." The woman stiffened. "I'm fine," she murmured, though her voice trembled. He crouched a little so she didn't have to crane her neck. "I'm Mark. I run a company nearby. I don't usually go around bothering people, but you look like you need a warm place to stay." For a heartbeat, she said, nothing, eyes darting to the street as though searching for an escape. Then she sighed defeated and looked at him properly. "Claire," she said quietly. "I'm a nurse. Or I was." Something in the way she said was hit him like a stone. He gestured to the SUV. "Come home with me. Just for tonight. I've got a spare room and Emily, my daughter, will be glad for company." Claire froze, surprise flickering across her face. Then doubt. "Why would you help me?" Mark didn't have an easy answer. Maybe because he knew what it felt like to lose everything. Maybe because Emily had been asking why people on the street had no beds and he hadn't known what to say. "Because you look like you deserve a chance," he said simply. She followed him to the car, hesitant but too tired to argue. As they drove, the windshield wipers beat a steady rhythm and silence stretched between them until Claire whispered, "I didn't plan on this, losing my apartment, my job. My mom got sick and I stayed at the hospital for weeks. By the time I came back, everything was gone." Mark glanced at her, then back at the road. "You don't have to explain. Not tonight." Inside the Western home, Emily peeked from behind the banister, her hair mussed from sleep. "Daddy, who's that?" "This is Claire," Mark said, warmth threading through his voice. "She's staying with us for a while." Emily's shy smile softened the room. Claire blinked fast as though unused to kindness and whispered, "Thank you." The days that followed felt like fragile steps across ice. Claire moved carefully, helping in the kitchen, keeping her distance, trying not to disrupt the quiet rhythm of Mark and Emily's life. She found herself laughing again at Emily's stories, the sound foreign yet comforting. Mark, meanwhile, couldn't stop noticing the way Claire's presence brightened the house, the way she hummed while folding laundry, or how she listened to Emily with her whole heart. But not everything was easy. Mark's company was at a turning point, and his board of directors questioned his focus. Claire, still fighting the shame of her fall, flinched whenever she thought she'd overstayed her welcome. One evening, after Emily had gone to bed, she said, "I should start looking for work. I can't just stay here." "You're not a burden," Mark replied, leaning against the counter. "But if finding work makes you feel better, I'll help." They worked together on her resume late into the night, shoulders brushing as they bent over his laptop. Something unspoken shimmered between them, both frightening and steadying. Weeks later, Claire secured a part-time nursing position. The first paycheck brought tears to her eyes. Mark and Emily celebrated with homemade pizza, and laughter filled the kitchen until it felt like the house itself was smiling. Still, the past wasn't done testing them. When Mark's ex-wife abruptly announced she wanted full custody of Emily, old wounds reopened. Mark wrestled with anger and fear, unsure how to prove he could offer stability while helping Claire rebuild. Claire, meanwhile, doubted her right to stay when his world threatened to fracture. One rainy night, much like the one when they'd first met, Mark found Claire packing her bag. "You've done enough for me," she said, voice shaking. "I don't want to make things harder with Emily." He stepped forward, heart thudding. "You're not making anything harder. You've made our lives better." Claire's eyes filled. "You don't know what it means to be offered a home when you feel invisible." "I do," Mark said, placing a hand over hers. "Because you did the same for me." The custody hearing loomed tense and cold. But when the judge asked about Emily's stability, she spoke up, surprising everyone. My dad makes me pancakes on Sundays, she said. Shanghai and Claire helps me with my homework. We're happy. The ruling favored Mark, granting him full custody. Outside the courthouse, Claire hugged Emily tight, tears mingling with laughter. Mark met Claire's gaze, gratitude, and something deeper shining there that evening. As twilight settled over the garden, Mark set out 3 mugs of cocoa on the porch. Emily curled up between them, sighing contentedly. You know, Mark said softly, looking at Claire. The night I stopped for you, I thought I was saving someone. Turns out you were saving me, too. Claire's answering smile was tremulous, but sure. She reached for his hand, and together they watched the stars blink awake, knowing their lives had shifted forever. Not from a single act of charity, but from the quiet courage to open their hearts and let someone